Okay, reading the shot. Do we look good? Does it look okay? Background? Questionable. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So, before we begin this unhaul, my first ever book unhaul, let's address the two elephants in the room. Number one, yes, my hair is braided. Does it look as good as I wanted it to? Absolutely not. But am I going to change it? No. And here's why. One, it's hot as a tit outside, and this is a little bit cooler than having my hair down, and I don't feel like having it up in a ponytail because I do that all the time, and I'm sick of looking at it in videos, and this is just something a little bit different. So if you don't like the hair, please don't comment on it. If you do like the hair, then feel free to comment. Number two, the second elephant in the room, that Bertha right there. I got a new standing desk, and it took about three and a half hours to set up, but I have not had a chance to move it from over there to replace the desk that you were currently sitting on. So it's just been taking up the majority of the walking space in the room, but that's what that is. It's a standing desk, and I haven't had one in quite a while, and I'm glad that I have it. So anyway, moving on. So like I said, I'm going to be filming my very first book unhaul, and if you don't know what an unhaul is, it's basically me telling you all of the books that I'm getting rid of and why. They're pretty popular on BookTube, so if you're watching this one, odds are you've probably seen other ones, I would assume. There's a few reasons why I decided to do this. For one thing, I've had to unhaul a lot of books because I have moved 4 times in the last 4 years, and every time that I've moved, I've either had to leave books behind, especially like at my mom's house, not just like randomly in apartments, that sounded kind of weird, or I've had to get rid of books in some way or another because books just don't travel well, and that's kind of one of the reasons why people like Kindles, but I just like having books. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with having a big book collection, which is something that's been talked about in the BookTube community quite a bit, like consumerism and book people, bookstagram people, and if we're just obsessed with consumerism and having too many books. But to me, the only time that having too many books is a problem is if you have like a hoarding situation going on where like you can't physically move around. But I like having a lot of books. I like the aesthetic of people who have lots of bookshelves filled with books. I think it looks nice. And the thing with books is they're really a passageway to knowledge and to adventure and to new experiences without ever leaving the house. So I always like having a lot of books around, but I don't like having books that I don't read or don't like. And I'm also trying to take a much more minimalistic approach to my life, particularly because we've moved so many times, and just having a lot of stuff is a crapshoot when you have to move. And I don't want to live in clutter. I hate clutter. So now that I'm an adult, I actually get to have more control over what I do and don't have. Another reason that I thought about doing this now, even though my book collection isn't that huge, is I watched a video that Read with Cindy filmed a while back about how much money she saved using the library rather than buying books. I think she only owns like 3 books, and she's pretty well known for that, and I think she kind of like, I don't know, people were kind of like shook, or whatever the kids are saying these days. Wow, I feel old. But people were really surprised to hear that she only owns a few books, and it shouldn't be that surprising because libraries are literally a treasure trove of books. But she filmed a video detailing how much money she saved approximately by borrowing books and being given books and stuff like that rather than buy them. And I'm not going to spoil it, but I will link it down below in the description if you'd like to watch it because it was pretty interesting. That was kind of a ramble. So what I'm going to show you right now is what my current book collection looks like. These are distracting. I just keep playing with my braids. So if you'd like to follow me to the other side of the room. Alright, let's try to squeeze in here around Bertha. Apparently that's her name now. This is the bookshelf that I share with my husband. Right now we have it divided into my side and his side, and I would love to have another bookshelf so that it's not this cluttered looking, so that we could have more books. Like maybe I could put another one right here, the same sort of size. But since this is what we have to work with right now, I don't like how cluttered it is. For instance, I don't like seeing books stacked on top of each other like that. I don't really like seeing things that aren't books in the bookshelf. This is his side, so I have no say in what's going on over here, really, except to, like, organize it a little bit. And also, let's see if we can get back here. No, we can't. You can't see back here, but I have books doubled up. Like, behind here is DVDs. There's CDs right here. I know there's, like, some other crap. Like, I don't even know what's back there because it's doubled up, and it looks gross, and I don't like it. So, that's part of the reason why I want to unhaul some things. I would like this to look more tidy. and I only want books that I'm actually going to read. Alright, you guys, so I chose the books that oh man, these are really distracting, holy shit. So I chose the books that I'm going to unhaul. It's not going to be a huge selection, I don't want to talk too much about each one, but here we go anyway. The first book that I'm unhauling is The Long Ride Home by Tawny Waters. So this book, I liked it. I mean, I think I gave it 3.5 stars, maybe 4, I don't remember. It's a pretty short read. It's a young adult book about a girl who is suffering from the loss of her mother. She's trying to grieve and come to terms with it, and she blames herself for it. She goes on a cross-country road trip on her motorcycle, and her friend with benefits, Dean, and together they sort of connect with each other, and it's sort of like not an enemies to lovers kind of thing, but it's just kind of like not quite friends to lovers sort of thing. And I like Harley as a narrator because she has a very sarcastic sort of way of talking, and it was entertaining, but I honestly don't remember that much about it, and I don't like it enough to ever reread it, I think. But it was a good book. It was good enough. But the one thing I did have an issue with, I do remember, is that something happens between the two of them, Harley and Dean, that to me was just very easily accepted by Dean, and I don't want to get too much into it because it is sort of a spoiler if you guys decide to read this book, but I think it was just like too easily like, oh yeah, I'm on board, let's do this, you know? But yeah, this is an interesting book about a cross-country road trip and someone coming to terms with another person's death and working through grief, but I will give this to someone else because I don't need to read it again. The second book. Some people are going to really hate me for this one. The second book that I'm unhauling is On the Road by Jack Kerouac. Yes, I know it's a classic, don't yell at me. So the thing is, I really wanted to like this book, but I did not. Like, at all. But now that I think about it, yeah, I think I gave it like 2 stars just for the effort of getting through it. And there were a few concepts and quotes that I liked from the book, but it wasn't really the free-spirited adventure I was hoping for. So basically this book is roughly, if I can summarize, I summarize like shit, but it's about 2 people who go across the country and they sort of go for the, what's it called? They're trying to live the, fast and free sort of lifestyle. They don't want to become suits in an office. They want to travel the country and get to know people and have adventures and this and that, but it was a whole lot of let's drive in the car and not really have adventures that are that noteworthy. They saw a lot of stuff, and I think maybe that's part of the point, is that they're trying to find an adventure that doesn't quite happen. Strip Cover Lit did a really good overall breakdown of this book, and so I'll link their video below in the description as well, because I agreed with pretty much everything they said. And I think one of them described this as the road trip that never ends, because it kind of didn't, and I feel like maybe that's the point. Maybe it's supposed to be that we can't quite find the adventure that we're looking for. I don't know, maybe it just went over my head, or maybe I've just sort of not given up on the adventurous lifestyle, but I just couldn't quite relate to it as much. Maybe if I'd read it when I was a little bit younger, not a whole lot much younger, maybe as like a teenager, I would have felt more strongly about it, but I really didn't, and I was just I struggled through this one. I really wanted to like Jack Kerouac, and this is the only book of his that I've read. I tried reading The Dharma Bums, but I didn't get through it because it was like a school thing, and yeah, whatever, didn't work out. It's described as the novel that defined a generation, but oh dear, it was a rough ride that I just wanted out of. The next book I'm unhauling is Zenith. So if you watched, I believe it'll be my previous video, whatever. If you watched my June monthly favorite / recaps video, I did a very brief sort of review on this book, and ultimately, to summarize that, I just had very lukewarm feelings about this book. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. A lot of people have really gave Zenith a lot of hate, and I don't think it quite deserves to be hated, but it's just average. It's a really average book to me, and there were a few things that I was entertained by, but it just didn't stick with me enough for me to want to keep it around or to reread it. And also, it's a hardcover book. I know a lot of people love and prefer hardcovers because they're much more aesthetically pleasing, I guess, but I just don't prefer them because I don't like the way the dust jackets get all fucked up, and they are heavier, and as someone who has problems with their joints, I have problems with my wrist and elbow joints, so holding hardcover books just gets really painful for me after a while, and they take up a lot of space. I don't need a lukewarm book taking up space on my bookshelf. You've seen what I have to work with over there. I don't need big books, thank you. This one, I'm not quite sure if I'll unhaul it just yet, because I have tried to give this book at least 1 or 2 chances, and it is The Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity by Julia Cameron. And a lot of people really like this book, I think. It's meant to help creatives of all sorts really get their creative juices flowing. Ooh, I hate that saying. But the thing that I don't like about it is it's very godly. It does say a spiritual path, and I'm pretty sure Julia Cameron is like a Christian writer person, but she calls creativity, like the feeling of creativity, God, and it's very hard to get into a book that's just trying to like shove God at you. And she even says like, I know I'm saying the word God, but I don't mean like a Holy Spirit or anything. It just means your muse or your creativity. So I'm like, just say that then. Just say that instead of the God thing, because I don't equate the two things, you know what I mean? So I've definitely struggled to get to page 28 of this book. And I want to try to get through it at least halfway before I definitely give up on it, but this is like halfway out the door, in my opinion, because it's really hard to get into, and it's also one of those things that's like, you have to do your daily stream of consciousness writing every single day in order to get the best out of this, and I don't like being told how to write or how to do anything, especially if it's a creative pursuit, to be told that I need to do this technique and this thing every single day or else I'm just gonna fail at the creative God thing. That clearly rubs me the wrong way, as you can tell. So I'm gonna try and give this another shot, but odds are I'm gonna end up tossing it, go into the library or something. And as I say that is another reason why I wanted to do this unhaul. If you guys follow me on Instagram, a while back I went to my local library for the first time since moving here, and I was very disappointed in the young adult section in particular. It was like 2 bookshelves or like 2 bookcases, and that was it, and most of the books I'd never heard of. So if I have some like young adults or just books that they don't have, then that's another reason to unhaul some things that I don't need or want anymore and donate so that other people can access them for free. Just because I didn't like these books doesn't mean other people won't. And I know for a fact that there are books in this pile that other people love and I hated, and that's just the name of the game. So I'm just hoping that the library will accept them and like them more, and if they don't accept any of these books because they don't take them for one reason or another, or like in the case of On the Road where the cover is half ripped off, there is one little free library somewhat in my area, which is kind of disappointing. I don't know why there's not more of them around here, because when we lived in San Diego, there was like 3 or 4 within like half a mile of our house. And that was pretty cool. I used to put Blood of Fire in there and take something else. But yeah, so that's where they're gonna go. They're either going to the library right here or the little free library that's somewhere. So this next book, I feel a little bad giving this away. This was actually a white elephant gift from the most recent, like the past Christmas. What am I trying to say here? Growing up, I loved Guinness Book of World Records. This is the 2019 version. Well, I guess I personally didn't love them, but my brother really liked them, and these are cool books to have around to check out, like Epic Journeys, Longest Journey by Wheelchair, Oldest People in the World. Like, these are the kind of books that you have around just sitting on your coffee table or in like a waiting room or something so people can flip through them and be momentarily entertained. But this is not the sort of thing that I'm going to read all the way through or really have the time to flip through when I feel so inclined. I did one day when I just happened to be sitting near the bookshelf and was like, ooh, Guinness World Records, why not? But again, it's a very big hardcover book that takes up space, and I mean, it's not the kind of thing that I really need to get into. Largest rubber band ball. Largest ball made of stickers. There's some impressive weird shit in here, but, you know, I don't have a waiting room for this to sit in. Yeah, I think, you know, they might like this at the library. Like I said, I feel bad giving it away because it was like a gift, but it was a white elephant gift, so it's not like it was really given to me. Does anyone else feel guilty about donating gifts that they didn't really like, even if it's been months or years since they received them? The way I see it, if someone gave me a gift, it's mine to do with it what I please, so that's what I'm gonna tell myself. And again, this is White Elephant. I need to chill the fuck out. The last one's on my unhaul. These are like magazines. I have always loved magazines. I used to have subscriptions to a variety of magazines when I was younger. I don't have any now, which is probably for the best because, you know, you read them once, you find a couple articles you like, and then they just sort of sit around. So I guess it's better that I don't have a subscription, but I never had subscriptions to these, I should say. So the first one is from Prevention Guide, Sugar Detox Made Easy. So I love sweets, and sugar is apparently the devil in disguise, which sucks because it's good for the soul, even if it's not good for the body. So this is basically supposed to help you detox from eating too much sugar, which is something that I am guilty of, as I think most people are, because sugar is in everything, even things that it doesn't necessarily need to be in. But this is supposed to basically scare the shit out of you into telling you why it's so bad to eat too much sugar and, you know, where sugar is, and then it does try to help you detox from sugar, and there's a few recipes in here that are low sugar. So I might just rip the recipes out and maybe toss this, recycle it. I don't think anyone's gonna want it if I rip things out of it, so this is probably gonna end up in the recycling bin. And then the other one is similar. My grandma sent this to me. She loves sending me like recipes and stuff, and I like getting them, but again, I don't really need to have so many of them. I literally have a binder. I don't know if you guys noticed when I showed you the bookshelf, but there's a binder on the bottom shelf that is full of recipes that I have like saved from newspapers, cards I got in the mail, things I found in the grocery store. Remember those red things that had like the recipe cards or the coupons sticking out of them, and you would just pull them out just to watch the next one come out? Wow, we really entertained ourselves in the 90s and early 2000s, didn't we? But yeah, this is another food-related magazine that I don't really need. Again, I'll probably just tear out any recipes that I like and then recycle the rest of it because I don't need this sitting around, especially because I don't think I've tried any of these recipes, and most of them I don't intend to. What is this? Local beer and cheese pairings? Well, that's a keeper. We need to keep her. Building, like, what do they call these? Charcuterie board? I'm not that fancy. That requires friends. When am I gonna cut up cheese and stuff and put it on a board? That's all I have for now. It wasn't a huge unhaul because, like I said, most of my books have either been left in New York at my mom's house. That is going to be an epic unhaul that I feel like eventually will happen because at some point I'm gonna have to go back there and either rescue or get rid of all of the books and stuff that I've left behind since 2015. Every single move, like I said, we left some books behind, got rid of some books, got rid of some stuff. And in some ways it's sad to get rid of books, I feel like. Especially if you liked the book a little bit and have some sort of association with it. It could be a little bit bittersweet. But the way I see it is if I'm donating these books someplace, then someone else can enjoy them if I didn't. And I'm lessening the load of things that I have on me. Like I was saying, I don't want to live in a cluttered house. I grew up in a very cluttered house. And so that's why I've been trying to take a much more minimalistic approach to things. The combination of having a cluttered house in my childhood and moving so many times, my brain now just automatically thinks, okay, do I need this thing? Do I really want this thing? And or how much of a struggle is it going to be to move it if and when we inevitably move someplace else? Puts a damper on things a little bit, but I also feel like I'm being a little bit more of a slightly smarter consumer in that sense, that I'm not buying things, especially big things, for the sake of having them. She says when she points out the massive desk in the room. Anyway, that was my book unhaul. Have you read any of these books? And if you did, what did you think about them? I'm sure I'll be doing another book unhaul sometime in the future, but like I said, I'm trying to not buy books as often. I try to make it a point of only buying indie books so that I can support fellow indie authors, and I'm going to try to just borrow books from my local library much more often now, but that doesn't mean I'll never buy more books. If you put me in a bookstore, inevitably I will want to buy something. Comment down below if you've read any of these books and what you thought about them. How do you feel about people owning a lot of books or people who choose to not own a lot of books? If you'd like to keep up with me on my writing endeavors, I'll leave all my social media links below in the description. If you'd like to buy my self-published debut novel, Blood of Fire, I'll also leave that below in the description. So until next time, see ya. Thumbnail time! God. Oh my god. How am I gonna... Sweet Jesus! We're struggling. Oh, nerve. Fuck you, hardcover books. Be aesthetically pleasing. This is a more appropriate thumbnail. There's a lot of faces. A lot of faces I'm making.